Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily.
Yeah.
Hello. Thank y'all for having us.
Hello.
We are here tonight to recognize the James Clemens cheerleaders for another state championship. So if you want to give them a round of applause, thank you. This is our fourth consecutive state title, so I think that's a really sweet accomplishment. These seniors have won every year that they've been at JC, so I think that's a huge pat on the back for them. We are in a new division this year, so it came with a lot of learning and a lot of strides that we had to make, but these athletes did an amazing job at not only overcoming it, but as every season goes with every sport, there's obstacles you have to face, and there's probably been something before every competition this year that we've had to overcome and make adjustments. So I also want to commend them, because whenever you're in a sport and there's pressure on you because, you have that one chance to do everything you can do to win, it's even more pressure because unlike football, baseball, all those common sports, there's no second chance or we'll get it in the next inning or the next quarter. It's one and done. So I want to commend them again for how amazing they've done this season. And we actually leave for nationals in 3 weeks, 27 days to the date. So I just want to commend them again. I also want to thank their parents because, especially these seniors and junior parents, because they have been a huge help to our program, whether it's taking them to games or competitions, but also being at everything and supporting them. It really takes a village. So we're super, super thankful. Me and our other coach, Blake, we're super, super thankful for all the support that you give us, board and everyone at central office, but also our own school. So we're super proud. And as you can see, our shirt say 4P, back says back to back to back to back, because we like to brag when we can. So another round of applause for the girls. Thank you.
Coach, now don't run off, Coach. Bring them all up here because Mr. Peck's going to want to get a picture of
Oh my
them.
goodness. Pregnancy brain, sorry.
And we're going to send this to the University of Georgia and let them know that 2 in a row is not a big deal.
Hey, that's right. That's right.
Not a big
Roll
deal.
Tide.
Yeah, doing.
Sorry, I completely forgot about this part that we've done 4 times.
2 rows. There you go. Dr. Donaldson, come on up here with them. Mr. Terrell's going to line you up on the Madison City.
Decide, go and get in there. Yeah.
Get behind Madison City. Okay, so scoot back. Sorry.
There you go. It's the weight of the rings on their fingers that's throwing them off.
Oh, wait, we got parents taking pictures. Well, ladies, let me say
Nice.
congratulations.
Can I see that?
It was a pleasure to travel and
We got one after this
to
year,
to
too.
Birmingham and watch you perform and compete. And anybody that doesn't think that cheerleading's a sport needs to go spend one afternoon at practice, and that'll take care of it. And we know you're going to go to nationals and do a great job. Here's a certificate recognizing your accomplishments from the district, and we certainly appreciate the hard work that you put in, and we wish you well as you head to Orlando. And so, thank you all. And I will say, Mr. Vice President, we had 2 state champions because there's different divisions and activities, and Bob Jones also placed in the state. We had winners, and they'll be here at the next board meeting.
Wow.
Not that they can't be together, it worked out that way. And so they're a little competitive, I will tell you that, though, they are, so.
All right, everyone, we has come to the public comment section of our board meeting. At this time on the agenda, members of the public who have signed up with Ms. King are able to speak. Please note you have 3 minutes to address the board. Ms. King, do we have anyone signed up?
Good evening. Do I need to tell my address, anything, or just my name? Okay. Good evening, board members. My name is Bernard Simulton, and I'm president of the Alabama State Conference of the NAACP. And for those who may not know what that stands for, it's National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. I'm here today to, in support of Miss Eudora Falk, whose daughter was slapped by an assistant principal at James Clemens High School on about December the 14th. I'm quite sure everyone in here has seen the video of what happened on the bus. The NAACP and members of the community are outraged that an adult male faculty member of the Madison City School system could take such drastic action against a small female child and nothing be done about it, as if everything is okay, that his action was in accordance with laws of this country, laws of this state, and policies of this school board. The tragedy is that those at the highest level of the Madison City school system did and saw nothing wrong. After retiring from the Air Force in 2000, I taught school at Keith High School, which is near Selma, Alabama, for a year, taught ROTC there. And on one occasion, there was a fight in the school gym. And one of the coach there got hit upside the head with what he thought were brass knuckles. He did not retaliate and go after the student because he, under these laws, I guess, had the authority and the opportunity to know what that individual did. He maintained calm and ended the situation without an involvement by himself or any other adults in the class, in the gym. So I bring that up to say that in this situation that I saw, where a assistant principal slapped a person because they had the right, they were, in their words, attacked, and he felt that they had the right, he had the right to attack that student. The NACP disagrees with the decision of the superintendent, and the school board must hold themselves accountable, and more important, hold the superintendent accountable for allowing an individual to remain in the classroom or remain at the school and nothing be done. He should have been suspended and an investigation done. And the NACP is asking the school board and superintendent to take corrective action and discipline those involved and not just the students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here today on behalf of my daughter, Winter Holmes. She was not only attacked by the assistant principal, but she was also attacked by another student. When I went up to the school, when I got the call, I did not get a lot of information about the incident. I didn't approve of that once the video started to show the next day on the internet. I also do not agree with the superintendent because I feel like there should be some action taken and he should not still be at the school because you don't hit a student. I have worked for the school system for many years and I have broken up many fights and I also have gotten hit. However, I have never attacked a student. And from the videos that I saw, my child did not attack first. She was attacked by another student first. And then when that student came off the bus, she did not want to leave the bus because she said that that student was outside of the bus and she was still irate. She didn't want to be put back into that situation. And I felt like he could have handled himself better. And if he felt like things were out of control, what he should have done was got the authorities involved. But never is it okay and is it right for anyone to think that a 15-year-old girl should be hit several times, hair pulled, and attacked by an assistant principal. That's just not right. I also feel like, again, he should not be in the school pending investigation. So I really think that something needs to be done as far as him being in the school because you don't hit a student. That is not the way things are handled. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dawn Rayburn. Good evening. I'm back again this year. I came last year concerning archery. We were very excited. Last year was Bob Jones' first year in archery. Madison City Schools has had archery in the schools for about 8 years. Last year was the first year that the first group of students who began in elementary school got to high school for competitive level of competition. And I know I came last year to ask for y'all's support in trying to find us a place to practice for both us and James Clemens. Between the two schools, I did not bring pictures. I will next time. There are about 50 to 60 students who participate in archery between the two schools. And because we have to use the band room at 6 a.m., it takes 20 minutes to set up the archery and 20 minutes to set down, giving them about 45 minutes a week of practice. And yet we made it to the state finals last year, both Bob Jones and James Clemens. Of course, once we were there, we weren't quite as competitive as we needed to with practice only one day a week for 45 minutes at 6 a.m. And I had requested last year possibly that we could use the West Madison facility, whether it be the gym or the cafeteria. And I was told that there were books in that space. Hopefully within a year, we have cleaned the books out of that space. But yet if we have not, the JROTC, who's is the sponsor, Chief Ellis is our coach. He and his JROTC always are looking for volunteer hours and often volunteer in the school system. And so I'm certain they can clean those books out. But yet we do, as we grow, have to have facilities for our students so that we can continue the excellence that we have in this system, both academically and in sports, and not just football and baseball and all the commonality sports that we have. We have students who are competitive, and we have a lot of activities and a lot of new things going on in our system. And we really need to try to figure out a solution, whether that be West Madison cafeteria in the afternoon or the morning, or whether that be a new facility with an agreement with the city, which I've seen in numerous communities. And I know we have that ability here in Madison to make something happen. I look forward to working with you. This weekend is our first competition. The archery season has begun, and I hope that we can come to a resolution before we're finished again this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing that we have no other comments, public comments are closed. I will say it's the board's practice not to comment during public comments or not to make any comments, but I encourage you to meet with the superintendent and to see if you guys can get your concerns addressed. Mr. Sanderson, is there a way that you can just kind of tell what the board's responsibility is as a board regarding some situations like this?
Yes, sir. Obviously, as a reminder, refresher, and for the public, the board has to act in a with respect to any personnel matters or student matters, sometimes in a quasi-judicial function to consider and maintain its impartiality and not get involved in factual investigations or that might prejudge anything that might be brought before you. And in addition, you can the board can only act on matters that are presented to you essentially based on the recommendation of the superintendent. So the board has no preemptive authority to take any action with respect to personnel or student matters, and needs to maintain its neutrality and impartiality with respect to any matters that could be brought to the board in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Sanderson. We are at our action items section of our agenda. Dr. Nichols, do you have any recommendation to come before the board?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice President. I recommend for approval the consent agenda items as stated before you. A, minutes 22-28 of December 8th, 2022. B, a camp convention to be held at Midtown Elementary School, June 5 through 9 of 2023. C, a sports medicine and sponsorship agreement by and between the Healthcare Authority of the City of Huntsville and the City of Madison Board of Education. D, disposal, sale of James Clemens High School band uniforms on govdeals.com. E, the 2023 Career Tech Adoption Committee list for Madison City Schools. F, bid 2023-03 for paging systems from CT Integrated for a total of $626,764 for 3 of our schools. G, a field trip request for Bob Jones High School theater students to attend the Regional Southeastern Theater Competition in Lexington, Kentucky. And H, an agreement by and between the Board of Education and S24 Labs for indoor facility for James Clemens High School baseball and softball teams.
Board, Dr. Nichols has recommended items A through H on the consent agenda item. Is it the board pleasure to treat these as a group? Seeing that a group is fine, can we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
One second, board. We have a motion by Mr. Newberry and a second by Mr. Overcash. Any questions, board? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any abstain? Any opposed? Motion passes. We need to approve of the November 2022 financial bank reconciliation statement.
I would ask Ms. Williams, Mr. Vice President, to come forward at this time, present the financial and bank reconciliation statements for Madison City Schools.
Good evening, Dr. Nichols and board. I'm presenting the November 2022 financial statements. We should currently be at 16.67%. Our revenues are at 16.76%, and our expenditures are at 14.88%. And we are at 44.81 operating days.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Mr. Vice President, I recommend for approval the 2022 financial and bank reconciliation statements for Madison City Schools.
Board, Dr. Nichols has recommended the November 2022 financial and bank reconciliation statements. I need a motion and a second to approve the statements.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Overcash, second by Mr. Newberry. Board, we want to let everyone know we had a 4 o'clock financial meeting today where Ms. Williams and her team went over the financial statements. You ready to vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Financial statement passes.
Mr. Vice President, at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Williams to present the November 2022 budget amendment for Madison City Schools.
For November 2022, there was just one change, a transfer out for $1.7 million. And that was due to supply chain issues as well as inflation costs.
Mr. Vice President, I recommend for approval the November 2022 budget amendment presented by Ms. Williams for Madison City Schools.
Board, Dr. Nichols has recommended the November 2022 budget amendment. I need a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Overcash and a second by Ms. Lessman. Any discussion, board? Again, this was a part of our 4 o'clock meeting that we had earlier today. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? The recommendation is approved. We're at the personnel action items of our agenda. Dr. Nichols, do we have any personnel action items to come before the board?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice President. I recommend for approval the list of substitutes presented to the board for Madison City Schools.
Board, Dr. Nichols recommends the approval of the substitute list. Is it the board's pleasure to treat these as a group? Seeing that a group is fine, Can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Lessman and a second by Mr. Newberry. Any discussion, board? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? The substitute list is approved.
Mr. Vice President, I recommend for approval the supplemental contract works under the personnel actions for Madison City Schools.
Board, Dr. Nichols has recommended approval of the contract list performing Madison City Schools. Is it the board pleasure to act on these as a group?
Mhm.
Seeing that a group is fine, can we have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Lessman and a second by Mr. Overcash. Any discussion, board? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain? The list of contracts passes. We're at the personnel items of our board. Dr. Nichols, do you have any personnel recommendations for Madison City Schools?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice President. I recommend for approval the remainder of the personnel actions, extended leaves, catastrophic leaves, employments, and transfers as presented before the board.
Board, Dr. Nichols has recommended the list of personnel recommendations for Madison City Schools. Can we treat these as a group? Seeing that a group is fine, can we have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Lessman, a second by Mr. Overcash. Any discussion, board? Ready for the vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. We have come to the section. We had superintendent comments already?
Yes, sir.
We have come to the section of our superintendent comment. Dr. Nichols, do you have any comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vice President. First of all, I want to recognize Dr. Donaldson that's with us, and the action of the board through the contract work has fulfilled a contract with him to serve as the interim principal at James Clemens while we interview and look for a principal. Dr. Donaldson's already been on the ground running. He's at the basketball game and got everybody started with professional development and other activities the first day. And Dr. Donaldson, thank you. And today he got a severe weather badge, so we give him that and for a new principal. So that's always a good thing to get, and we appreciate him. He still will oversee the Learning Academy and the alternative school, and but he will guide the administration there and work with the school, and as we get through the spring and do all the things that happen in the spring with curriculum and starting for next year and graduation and lots going on. So thank you, Dr. Donaldson. Also, we did have our severe weather today, and I would just like to thank our administrators and our school staff and all that worked across the district responding to that. We, as you could tell, all the districts in North Alabama were in school because most of the information we got through the night was that that was a limited possibility. But as you know, sometimes those things happen, and about 8:15 this morning, the weather changed, and I just would like to thank our crew, Dr. West, who was out there, all of our central office staff, folks here, Mr. Peck, Mr. Payon, Dr. Donaldson working with the media. If you've ever wondered some things that happen, when we have severe weather, one of the big events that happens is we have to move our pre-K students from the pre-K center to Rainbow next door, where you can't hold hands and walk across the road. You put them on buses. And one of our teachers sent me a nice message today, a video of our bus drivers working with our kids, some of who have never been on a bus. In fact, one little boy was telling his teacher, "I've never been on a bus before." And she said, "Well, how are you? And are you scared?" And he said, "No, I'm having fun." And so, you know, I was over at Heritage, and kids were in the hallway doing what all of us had probably done when we were in school and sheltering in place. And our staff did a tremendous job across the district of handling the weather and the change in weather so quickly. So I certainly want to thank them. I want to recognize Stephanie Allen. She was here, I think, the last board meeting and was named Counselor Administrator of the Year for Alabama. Well, she's now been asked to serve on the executive committee of the Alabama School Counselors Association as vice president. So we certainly applaud Stephanie and know that she will do a tremendous job representing us and serving on this committee. I want to thank our parents who filled out the federal impact aid forms. We're about 200 shy of our goal, but probably about 2,800 have been filled out. We have about 22% of our student body's parents who are engaged in government work or work on the arsenal or those types of things. So we're going to make one more push and try to get that information finalized. The weather stopped us from having a big event at UAH today. It'll be rescheduled for January the 23rd. UAH has Project Dial, which is a partnership agreement with all 3 school districts in Madison County to help support English language teaching and English language learners by designing and helping support curriculum and teaching support for that. So we will have that opportunity to meet with the president of UAH, and we certainly appreciate their significant work in that area and working on that grant, and Dr. Dooley and Dr. Donaldson partnering and coordinating that with us. And finally, our playgrounds are underway. The board, I will again thank you on behalf of our elementary schools for working to help us have the funds, along with Ms. Williams, to develop playgrounds. I know that Mr. Gunner and Mr. Jones were out and about during the holidays because they were trying to do some work on those. And so I certainly appreciate that. Journey is carrying on. They were putting the landscaping down, and we will find out tomorrow if we're still on track for February, but I'll just hold my breath. Bob Jones Special Ed Wing, we're still kind of catching up there due to weather. And then also you'll see a lot of construction equipment around the pre-K center to be at West Madison. That's going to work. I also would like to say that during that very cold weather that we had just a few areas where we had pipes that were an issue. And I want to applaud Mr. Jones and Mr. Guess and Mr. Gunner and their work for being proactive and shutting off some of our water lines and flooding them out so that we could get by that weather. We had a pretty significant leak at Bob Jones, and they worked over Christmas getting the contractors in there so it'd be ready for the start of school. And we had a significant leak at the pre-K center, and Ms. Mims and Mr. Jones was over there way early resetting up chairs and tables, and Mr. Gunner and our staff, Mr. Terrell, and so certainly appreciate the work that we got there. And we had a few other places, and they weren't quite as significant and not having damage because of that. But you know, when those things happen across the district, our team reaches out and supports our schools and works with them to try to make sure we can maintain those. I also want to thank our SRO with us tonight, Ryan Parrish from James Clemens. Appreciate our school resource officers and the work that they do. Appreciate them today during days like today. They're helping us a lot with weather and moving around, and I certainly appreciate Ryan and our whole crew. So busy time starting the semester back, so we're looking forward to that. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you. It's time for board comments. Mr. Overcash, we can start with you tonight. You have any comments?
I do not, sir.
Mr. Newberry, do you have any comments?
Just a few. I want to echo Dr. Nichols thanking the teachers and staff and everybody dealing with the inclement weather this morning, and also communicating it out. So I was in the basement where I work with everybody up and down the hall. Everybody's phones and texts were going off with texts and emails from both central office and the individual schools. So no one was concerned about our kids being safe. So congrats to the JC cheerleaders. And I also wanted to thank the administration and teachers at Columbia. We were there Tuesday morning doing Carline, and we got a little update from Ms. Bolden, and I just wanted to say thanks, and I enjoyed that. That's all I got.
Ms. Lessman, do you have any comments?
Yes. Welcome back, everyone. It's good to see everybody's faces. like Mr. Newberry said, we had a great time doing Carline at Columbia. And Ms. Bolden also told us that the Columbia Elementary students are doing a drama showcase called Aladdin, and it's January 20 and 21st, and you can get tickets online for that. I've heard they're really good, so I'm going to try to go. And Dr. Nichols, speaking of Stephanie Allen and all her accomplishments, she also helps assist with the Mental Health Matters. And the next one is going to be January 18th from 4 to 5 p.m. at the Madison Public Library. I'd like to give a shout out to the Madison CEO students from Bob Jones and James Clemens. They got to present and talk in front of many business business people from around North Alabama, and they did an excellent job. We're very impressive. They got to talk. It was during Entrepreneur and Innovation Day. So they talked, these are young entrepreneurs, so it was very motivational. I'd also like to say congratulations to Dr. Donaldson. I actually met him when I first came on the board. We were in a training together, sitting right over there, and I got to know a little bit about your background. And you are a hard worker with a big heart, and I know you will do well. So thank you for stepping up to that. I'd also like to give a shout out to the Bob Jones wrestling team. Last weekend, they got second place at the Region 4 duels, and that was at James Clemens High School. It was so close, but they got second, and they did awesome. With that, appreciate everybody coming out, giving your comments. And like we had Mr. Sanderson say, what the board, what our position is. I hope that clarified some things, and we do appreciate you coming out and letting us know your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lessman. I want to congratulate the JC cheerleaders again for Pete. That's awesome. Also congratulate Stephanie Allen as well. I want to thank Mr. Bernard and Ms. Falk for coming up to speak to the board. I assure you that the board is always concerned when it comes to the students of this system, but we depend on our superintendent to provide us the information that we need if we have to make decisions. I know that the superintendent, when he came in, he kind of incorporated the word all when it came to the students in our system, and we utilized that word in our school statement. And I just want to speak to the fact that, you know, of course you hear things, but you try to stay impartial, knowing the fact that you may be presented with facts and you want to make the appropriate decision based off the information that was gathered. Just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you for your support. It's a blessing to be a part of this system. I had an opportunity to see the Madison CEO students speak to our leadership class. I'm in L36, and it was an honor for me to say that I'm a part of the Madison City School System. And it was a diverse group of people, and we're the only system in this area that offers this program. And the exposure that our students have is actually phenomenal. And every day this system is working to improve and to provide our students with additional resources and opportunities as they pursue their future. We need to enter into an executive session. The board needs to enter into the executive session to discuss pending and immediate litigation. The board will not reconvene after the executive session to act upon any recommendations. Mr. Sanderson, can you verify that we have met the requirements to meet for executive session?
Yes, I can say that the subject matter of the proposed executive session is to discuss pending or imminently likely litigation.
Thank you. Board, I need a motion and a second to enter into executive session.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Lessman, a second by Mr. Newberry. The board will enter into executive session. We would ask everyone to clear the room.